Well, since you can see us, it means you've tuned in looking for something interesting, something useful, something that can help you find your way in life, which means you're in the right place because today we have a special guest in our studio, a woman who can inspire with her mere presence. Let's check it out. Our guest is Nelli Lapinya. Welcome, Nelli. I am glad to meet a person with whom, such interesting associations arise. At my age, I somehow classify every new encounter and realize that I have already met such a person, that there was something similar here. But as soon as I saw you, something unusual happened. My pattern didn't work, so maybe you can clarify these details. Tell us a little about yourself.
Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning. I don't know who will be watching me today. Yes, my name is Nelli Lapinya. I am from Latvia. I now live in the United Kingdom. It was the country of my dreams. And I am a person, as you said today, who is extraordinary because I love freedom very much and am always proud of that word because no one has ever been able to stop me in my life. Because my whole life has been made up of exactly such puzzles. I want to. And when I realized in my life that my mission, perhaps, was to understand myself, because people often search for themselves and cannot recognize themselves, they ask questions. Who am I? Why was I born? After all, I can change. How can I help people? I always say, help yourself. Even from kindergarten, I remember those moments when I was a completely different child. I was different from the others. Because someone was standing on the right, I always asked myself why I had to stand on the right. I would stand on the left. And so my whole life, my whole destiny, led me to the point where I began to fulfill my desires. Since childhood, I remember every step I took. I made wishes and fulfilled them. I made wishes and fulfilled them. It was very difficult when I remember, of course, my childhood and teenage years. There was a lack of money. I think that every person who serves me now will understand this, because in theory, we are all looking for money. We are looking for energy. And when I walk into the hall and when the guys invite me to visit, he says, God, how we enjoyed it. We all got energy. I say, that's because I brought you a completely different life. And that inspires me. It makes me happy. And I try to show every person on planet Earth how valuable they are to themselves. That's why my life flew from Latvia to the UK. I was just a serious designer. I was given an interesting job. I always take on the most interesting, most difficult jobs. And I created a 3-story store. Here's Ports, we have it in our city in the UK. And as soon as I left that store, I saw the bay. I embraced the romance. Because I also lived in Latvia near a river, near Vigala. And I think I want to live here. I just want to, that's all. And from that moment on, I was hooked. It was a moment of motivation when you saw your prospects, when a new horizon opened up.
An interesting story, as we say in medicine, anamnesis. But I see the Mercury community logo on our screen. And I would like to know when Mercury appeared on your horizon, what it looked like to you then, what became an inspiring, encouraging element. Tell us a little bit about it. People who come to meetings always think about themselves. Do you know the secret? It's everyone. It's not us, it's us, each of us. Because at first they say we think about others, but in reality they think about themselves.
I always thought about myself, and as the play progressed, as I struggled through life, changing different professions, I thought that since I had lost something today, it meant I would gain more. I looked at the sky, thought about the stars, looked at some beautiful, interesting planets. I think there will be something in life that will change me, change my life. And here it is. It's the Mercury community, which, as I said, I saw a different orbit. A different orbit where you just take off, and you're carried away without stopping. It's quite interesting why. Because when you are saturated with life, everything seems normal, as everyone says, work at home or business at home. And then there is not enough time, not enough attention, not enough time for children. It's all the same thing. It was painful inside. I always worked 12 hours a day. It was a beautiful thing, but I still understood that something was wrong, that I was missing something, that I was missing that explosion, those emotions, And then, at the moment when I was already involved in real estate in Latvia, I lost everything, literally everything, down to the last penny. I took my briefcase, picked up my little son, and flew to a new country after a couple of years that I found the Mercury community, which showed me what I had been looking for my whole life: freedom, motivation, independence, courage, career, money, energy, friendship, love, literally everything. And now I am here. It turns out that it is all in one place, all the advantages of such a free life.
Okay, let's say so. But surely something happened after that meeting. How did your life change after you became involved in the Mercury community? And what role do you play there now? What position do you hold?
Well, today I am the curator of the British platform. What does that mean? It means I help people achieve financial independence. These are not just words. This is reality. We are taught to live and have learned to live in a different dimension, a new digital world. And now, everything changes every 12 years. Cyclicality, right? Yes, that's right. And everything has changed. Just like other people, some slow down and some move forward. That's why I make bold decisions. I always take on the most difficult ideas, as I said, because they always lead you to results. Do you agree with me?
Yes, but sometimes there are cases when you set a goal for yourself and it is unattainable. How do you deal with such a situation?
Look, you just said something very interesting. It's better not to talk to me like that, because you've touched on a sensitive subject. Just now, we had someone else at our meeting. I said, look, you make up your own mind and say what you don't want to say. Turn your words around. The idea and goal are always achievable when you believe in them and know them, because everything happens when you send out your energy, fill yourself up, and attract the best, not the worst, but the best. And I attracted this planet, Mercury, this community being in such a state, Maybe it wasn't a trance, but the moment when I was also running in like Cobritania. And one person said to me, Mela, when you calm down. I always say this at all meetings. When you calm down, guys, it comes to you too. You will see things that you could never see before. Everything, from the moment I calmed down, I saw that my life would now change every day. That's how it was. First of all, I filled myself with joy. I met amazing people who, like me, were going through some kind of journey of self-discovery. Not faith, let's say, not vision, something else. But the strength and motivation inside them did not allow these people to, let's say, stop halfway. Halfway, that is. They walked and walked and walked, then stopped and looked back at what their friends and relatives had said. Or someone else, I don't know, it doesn't matter. You only walk when you believe that you need to. And after going through this journey, mistrust at first, yes, somehow overwhelmed you, mistrust. I rushed to meet the Mercurians on the ship that took me there through Canada, through the snow. I thought, my God, how am I going to get through the blizzard? But I found a community of people. I looked at them and rejoiced. These were the people I had been looking for all my life. That was 3 years ago. 3.5 years ago. I had been looking for such people my whole life, people who trust each other, who won't abandon you in trouble, who hear you, who guide you, who believe in you. You know, guys, I was completely filled up, like a huge core. Yes, you are filled with this unique energy. You can never be stopped. Regardless of what others say, I demonstrate to people how unique life is when you calm down, make a decision for yourself, and begin to act. You begin to act not only for the benefit of what you are filled with, but you also begin to fill yourself. You start to act not only for the benefit of what you are filling yourself with, but you start to fill yourself up. First of all, I always say, fill yourself to the brim so that this energy overflows. And only then can you give people what they want.
This brings me to my next question. Tell me, during this process, did you ever think about your own inner evolution, your inner qualities, how they changed and improved, and how working with the community helped your inner self?
Beautiful questions. What makes them unique? Yes, I remember myself, by the way, at the beginning of the journey, and I was nervous like other people. When you don't know something, you understand, oh, well, what will happen to you? How will you change? Maybe it's all just a whim. You know, it was an incomprehensible state because you're used to being here. Well, I was always the boss, used to setting goals for myself and managing people. Yes, but in a community, everything is different. You actually make a lot of friends whom you don't manage. You just guide them. And I started, with one book, It's Impossible, Alexander Svayash. And I tell my guys who follow me in my teachings, together with me, read this book. I answered my own questions which seemed somehow wrong to me, why I looked at people that way, why I asked questions people didn't understand why I needed to do that, why I constantly idealized the world. Everything had to be built at home. Everything, so I got fed up. I thought, why am I doing this? And I looked at this book and found answers to my questions. I changed completely. From being a woman who was just a businesswoman, I became a friend. First of all, I began to see things that I couldn't see before because I didn't have time to look, and I didn't focus my attention on that. My main goal was to make money for my family, for my children, and that was it, basically. Like any of us, we are like squirrels in a wheel every day, from work to home, worry.
We are like squirrels in a wheel every day, going from work to home with worries and problems. That's really true. Listen, I've heard some interesting things that I might well take on board myself. All right. You've talked about this, so there must be some kind of prospect. I don't think you've stopped developing. What prospects and plans do you have that are related to this community?
Well, generally speaking, I really love to get people excited. I don't just sit in the UK, for example. I have, not even a plan. I have a map on the wall in our world. It's just that, when you start to see and hear more, to delve into life, someone is already guiding you. My intuition works very well. And I've developed it even more over the years. I just sit and look at the map, point my finger at it and think, that's where I need to go. Can you imagine I fly to an unknown country, let's say, and I come back from the other side, I've been away for 33 days. That's it. And I meet people who are looking for me. That's community. That's integrity. He says, I made a wish. And I met a young man. He says, I made a wish. I knew my life would change. I didn't know how, but I believed. And suddenly I appear, I don't know, we just met in the hallway, and we just noticed each other. And the man started talking to me. And that's how I open up to countries. I've been to France, I've been to Spain, I've been to Germany. And that's how I convey my warmth, soulfulness, energy to people. igniting them in different countries, meeting 2 or 3 people, then leaving them, taking the next one. And that's how I fill the world, our world, with this goodness, you see, because I always say it can't be that people, guys, say everything, the world is evil, the world is angry. No, that's not true, we are angry. But we became angry at the world because we were betrayed, so to speak, and I'm not afraid to use that word, because when you don't fulfill your desires, you close yourself off, don't you agree? And you probably resent the world for what happened. And when someone comes along who, slowly takes you off your juices, unlocks that lock, and opens up this exit from everything else in another person, and they say things, you sit and listen, and you think, my goodness, when I compare my guys, who have been with me for 3.5 years now, I say, do you even remember what you were like? Nella says, I can't even imagine, but I'm grateful that I record video clips here. And one fine day, I'll show it again, because people change in unique ways. Those people who were angry at life, at everything else, they changed because he understood for himself. He understood that he wanted to change. So Mercury is for those people who have lost everything, but not themselves. It makes you think.
That's what makes your idea so thought-provoking. By the way, I caught myself thinking that it's interesting to follow the course of your story, your narrative, and you're also participating in it. I noticed what you said about new meetings. What message can you give to new members who are joining your community?
So, first of all, as I always say, guys, love yourselves. That's the first message. When you start loving yourself, you will see how valuable you are. Because we, all people, are a huge orchestra that begins to make sounds, the sounds of an orchestra. I just love music. Everyone sings in their own way, but when the conductor comes, it all comes together, it sounds. He controls it. The beauty is that these sounds come out. That's why I see people as sounding like different orchestral instruments. That's why my message to people is this: never look around for what you don't need. Find yourself, how ambitious you are today, how much you can change yourself. For what? For yourself. Start loving yourself. And when I say that, I literally put this last. You will see, put it first. That's what my guys say. They used to think that I was there for myself. For someone else 24/7, it's a constant conversation. And they say it's stupid. You have to live and enjoy life. You have to see your children, because as a mother, I remember those terrible years of my life when I was constantly at work and my children were with nannies. Now I say that I am always with my son. I always say, look, life is, it's a huge planet of joy, in theory. It's just that we turned it the wrong way and closed the doors to that joyful life. And we opened the doors to poverty and misfortune. As soon as you close those necessary doors, you will open up. You will find, of course, the way to us. You call us, you see us, just like on this screen, and something inside you begins to change. You start becoming a different person, someone without the usual mental barriers, someone who feels free to grow. The same applies to professionalism and the sense of invisibility. With us, there are no limits. You set the bar as high as you wish, and you begin to live at that level. It feels almost magical. People join our meetings and say, I don't understand how I lived before. Now I feel fulfilled, awake, and truly alive. For newcomers still searching for direction, unsure where to begin, come in, call, write, reach out and let yourself be seen. We're here for you.
Listening to you, an ancient thought came to mind. Everything genius is simple. It turns out that our happiness is close by, even more so, it is within us, and we can start on this path today. Let's keep it short. How would you describe the Mercury community in one word? What would that word be? It could be an adjective, a verb, or a noun. How would you describe it briefly?
I love brevity. It's pure happiness. Brevity. For every person, happiness is happiness. That's why they will always be happy when they understand what happiness means to them. Do you agree? Well, I don't just agree. I would like to join in and find my happiness, perhaps in this project.
I heard a lot of interesting things, extraordinary things. And I became a little interested in how, amid the hustle and bustle around us, it is possible to comprehend such truths and maintain inner harmony. Do you have a recipe for that?
There is, of course, a recipe. There always is. As I said just a few minutes ago, you need to find time for yourself. We are busy with our daily chores. We don't choose what's important, we choose what's urgent. And I tell the guys that too. We sin. You live in a state of constant urgency, which caused the class, overwhelmed everything, and closed the door to something new. As soon as you understand what's important, you'll close everything that's urgent and open up what you're looking for yourself.
Convincing. How would you like to sum up today's conversation? What we haven't said yet? I understand that it's impossible to cover all the topics in an hour, but we haven't missed anything important. Do you know what we might have missed?
Trust, maybe. Why do other people trust things but not people? They say people cannot be trusted. People are like that. That's how they are. While you're talking, something is going on behind your back. We often use that word. People often use that word. And then it turns out, in this clique, in this life, and then they don't understand how to get out of there. And trust is given to people so that they eventually stop thinking about negative novelties. Do you understand? This is the essence of our planet, as I say, of our community. We forget that people are people. We create ourselves. First of all, I always repeat this. When you've just created yourself, you see other things, and you forget that you didn't trust someone. You start to believe in yourself, and trust comes from outside too. And people open doors and say, listen, I've been watching you for a year. There are people who watch for 5 years. You understand? 3 years. And he says, I've been watching you for a month. He says, listen, I'm watching, but there's no trust. Then a friend, and something opened up. I say, you opened up yourself. You just heard other things yourself, because before you couldn't trust yourself, you couldn't trust yourself. And now you trusted yourself, and that's why the planet came to you.
To be honest, these words make me think and weigh things up. Perhaps it really is worth stopping in the midst of all this hustle and bustle and thinking about which path to take next. It has been a pleasure spending this time with you. I have discovered many new and interesting ideas for myself, and I will not hide the fact that I will try to make use of them. Excellent. I would like to remind our viewers that our guest was Nelli Lapinya, a woman who fills the space with light and meaning. Until we meet again.
Thank you, and you too. See you again soon, guys.